Holy crap, was that game drunk. It was sloppy, it was messy, it was downright disgusting at times. And at the end of the day, Arkansas fumbled the bag in the second half. Oklahoma State gets the 39-31 victory in double overtime. And we got to react to it. So welcome on into the SEC Unfiltered Postgame Show. He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson, breaking down everything that we saw at Boone Pickens Stadium. Make sure that you hit subscribe because this is your number one home for all things SEC. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Make sure you're following us on the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. Follow him on Twitter at Mock10 Sports. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson. And make sure that you keep up with all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and use the promo code SECU for 20% off your first purchase. You might not go to many Arkansas games, or you might just want to go pay the price of admission to watch Taylor Green slinging around the yard. Whatever it is, make sure that you use Game Time promo code SECU for $20 off. Dave, did Arkansas not get the message that we have college football for like another 8 hours? Because this game got as drunk as humanly possible in the second half. And ultimately, you just felt like the Razorbacks shot themselves in the foot. Usually, it's just a bad performance from the likes of what you saw from Mike Gundy. And he's going to have a reason on the sideline with his mullet, screaming high vulture about everything that the refs said was wrong. Nah, this was just Sam Pittman and the defense finding a way to fumble it at the fourth quarter.
No, I mean, Cole, when's the last time someone put up 650, essentially 648 to be official, yards of total offense? And I think that's one of the more overrated numbers in the country. But there's probably not many teams that put up 650 yards of total offense in a loss. I mean, the first half, they had about 320, 350. They killed themselves, man. Either bad snaps, running backs going the wrong direction, Taylor Green handing the ball off the wrong direction. Taylor Green flashed at times, just going to show a little bit of inconsistencies, throwing some balls at people's feet. Arkansas, it looked a lot like last year. I mean, they were better at offense this year, but like a lot of, hey, we're up, we're controlling the game, then we just lose it late. We commit dumb penalties. We commit. I mean, how many turnovers? They ended up throwing 3 turnovers. They were -2 in the turnover department, 7 penalties. I mean, the numbers look fine. Average of 4.9 yards per rush, essentially 5 yards a carry. Passing, they at 416 yards, 9.9 yards per pass. I mean, Taylor Green numbers-wise wasn't bad. 26 for 46, 416, touchdown interception. I mean, out of context, you go watch it a little bit. There's going to be some mishaps. Some missed blitz pickups, handing the football wrong, some underthrows. I don't know. It just felt like whenever Arkansas needed a play in the second half, I'm talking specifically the second half, they just couldn't get it done. Even defensively, there'd be an interference call or something. It's just whenever they needed it, or it just couldn't happen. Like even the pick 6 in the first half, that was the only thing that couldn't have happened. I mean, credit to Travis Williams and that DC. They pitched a donut. They picked a big 0 in the first half. Again, I don't want to sound the alarm yet, but I said going into the year, and I think most of us agree, Arkansas, to get 6 wins, needed one of these first 2 road games, either at Oklahoma State or at Auburn in 2 weeks. Now it kind of forces them to definitely win that Auburn game. And if you lose that, you go to Arlington the next week, where a place is kind of been a house of horrors for you against A&M. Man, I don't know. It's a tough game to come back from early. I mean, you can do it. I mean, they rally. Kids rally at 18 to 22 years old. Sam Pittman can get them going. But, man, that's going to be a rough 3.5-hour bus trip that you're like, how did we lose that game, man? If we just do one thing right, like not a negative play, we make a field goal, we decide to kick a field goal, we're probably having a better bus trip on the way back, man. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow there, Cole.
Dave, let me read off every single level that Arkansas won on Saturday. Total yards, 648. Passing yards, 416. Rushing yards, 232. First downs, 33. Third down attempts, they were 64%. Total plays, 93. Average yards per play, 7 yards. Average yard per completion, 16. Average yards per run, 4.9. Average yards per pass completion against them, 16. Average yards per run against them, 4.2. Average sacks, 5.9. Red zone efficiency, 75%. Time of possession, 36-14. Turnovers, 2. Fumbles, 4. Tackles for losses, 3. And the only stat they didn't have was on fourth down conversions and the dub at the end of the game. They won on every single level, and that is just where it is anemically awful. It's where you see yourself waking up again, making the same mistakes that you thought that you won. You thought that you changed. Taylor Green has got to be the most electrifying player with the ball in his hands in the SEC. For the first 2 weeks, night and day difference from quarterback. And you're watching as this relationship with him and Bobby Petrino seems to be blossoming into something really consistent, something that is really withstanding, and could be a reason why you stay in games. But my God, how many times in the second half did you shoot yourself in the foot? And let's not make any mistakes. Oklahoma State at the same time, they should have had multiple leads, and they shot themselves in the foot, primarily in the red zone with careless penalties. But this was not a game where if you're Arkansas, you're saying, oh, we lost to a better team. We lost to a better opponent. And I had Oklahoma State winning. I took Arkansas with the points at 9.5. I thought that was an egregious line, regardless of who it was. But I thought Arkansas was going to find a way to fumble the bag in the fourth quarter. Lo and behold, they did. You did not lose to Oklahoma State. You lost to yourself. You look in the mirror when you go ahead and you do the point, but make sure that finger is directed right back at you, because the only person to blame is the actual inability to close out with 15 minutes. And also, I'm just going to be completely honest when it comes to this one. If you're Sam Pittman, you just kind of showed your card about how much you trust your kicker. How badly you don't trust your kicker. That fourth down call, that to me is where you just kind of wave the white flag. Oh, if we're in this side of a level, we can't kick it. We can't kick it.
More games are won than they are lost.
In week two. Week two, you show it.
More games are won than they're lost. Arkansas proved that today. Yeah, I mean, that is a tough bus trip back. You got to think Arkansas, just a few plays here and there. Man, it's just a sloppy second half. Just an overall just sloppy second half. But again, yeah, I mean, it seemed like the same stuff they did last year. They get to LSU, they had leads. Ole Miss, they were up with like 8 minutes left in the game. Alabama, they had a chance to go win the game. I mean, if you're an Arkansas fan, the last 2 years, you've had some cardiac losses, not even wins. Like, you get the nickname sometimes people say, the cardiac kids. I mean, they're the cardiac kids, but it's always bad. Like, at this point, it's kind of becoming your culture. Like, we don't win close games. It's a little bit becoming that. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You read the stat line for Arkansas. I mean, they did everything they could, but they had some critical mistakes and just could not get off the field when they needed it, committed pass interference penalties. It was just crapping down your leg, man, for lack of a better term, the coach would always say.
Dave, there was a fumble. There was a muff punt. There was a missed field goal. There was a bad snap. There was blocking assignments that were terrible on fourth down. There was blown coverages. And that was in the second half of a game. Literally, there are people who are sitting in their rockers back in the state that are having heart attacks, and they have to have the CPR delivered to them. And you're having all these ambulances going out because of how bad of a performance it was. The heart attack Hogs is 100% correct. That's how you describe them, because they keep you on your seat. What I will say is, this type of game is the one of where you fall in love with college football, where it's a back and forth battle. It's messy. It's nonchalant. You don't really know how it's going to come to an end, but you're just enjoying yourself because of you are absolutely captivated. Like, you're turning the television off. Everyone was talking about this. The primetime game of today was Michigan versus Texas. And if you have double screen, you're turning that one off to head down to Boone Pickens Stadium to watch this game. And how often would you say, with the helmet matchup of the decade, you're absolutely going to be paying attention to Arkansas versus Oklahoma State? It's the beauty of college football. It's why you love it. But oh my God. I mean, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I don't want to do that, because there is a lot to like about Arkansas in terms of where they have improved from last year.
Yeah, they're definitely, to be fair, taking away the loss, you're right, Cole. They are an improved football team, and I think that Auburn-Arkansas game could be interesting in 2 weeks. I think Arkansas is going to have a little bit of, they can bounce back. They get UAB next week. They go to Auburn. I think they'll have a little – they'll be backed into a wall, a little bit like a backed-up dog that feels like – we used to say that all the time. It's like, dude, we're going into their house, and they feel like they have to win a game. Like, we went to Louisville one year, and they were coming off a loss to Ole Miss. It was like, dude, they had to win this game. You had a scared dog backed into the corner. They're willing to do anything. If I'm Auburn, I'd kind of rather want Arkansas to win that game. It ain't that big of a deal overall, but Arkansas is not going to have a lot to lose go to that Auburn game, but they're going to have to win it. They don't have a lot to lose, but they do, because you start 2-2, that A&M game that next week. again, we talk about it all the time. We talk about with South Carolina, who's up 7-0 right now, that like you got to have momentum in the middle of the season internally, or like kids kind of start checking out, or hey, the kid with the nicked up ankle, you know what, he's going to tap out a little bit because there's nothing to play for. In today's college football, where the rosters are so different year to year, you got to have some positive momentum throughout your program throughout the year. Kids start to check out. I mean,
But Dave, what was there to play for today other than pride and showing that we've changed? We've turned a corner. Like, this is an Arkansas team that still many people, including yours truly, believes is not going to be bowl eligible, is not going to be with the same coaching staff next year. They're going to have a complete revamp turnover. And I thought it was wrong to bring back Sam Pittman. I love Sam Pittman. I get why he is back in the building at Fayetteville. I get why he is the hog boss. Everyone loves him out there. It's a big difference of why Dana Holgorsen was shown the door and Sam Pittman gets a second chance. But you had nothing to lose in this game. You win, guess what? People are still going to say, well, the Big 12 is having a down year. You're an SEC team. You're supposed to beat them. If you lose this game, people aren't going to turn off your opinion because they're still going to say, oh, you know what? Whatever. It's just Arkansas. We've seen this formula work time and time again for the last decade. Nothing has changed out in the state. So why are we thinking it's going to be any different today? You played just to play a football game, and there was so many moments in that first half where it looked like they were in control on both sides of it. Bobby Petrino's offense was electrifying.
The first half was kind of dominant on both sides of the football.
But it was stupid mistake after stupid mistake in the final 30 minutes. It's why football.
Well, I'll tell you, I thought the game was over. I think we were texting when he muffed that punt.
That was it.
I was like, dude, that's the momentum. As you know just as well as I do, college football momentum's like no other momentum because you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids. Hell, you cover an NFL team. I think you probably agree. College momentum, like turnovers like that, is bigger than the NFL, in my opinion, when you watch the NFL game.
I don't believe in home field environment being a major atmosphere, especially after last week with Texas A&M and Florida. But what I will say is Boone Pickens Stadium is a difficult place to play in the Big 12. I've talked to so many people
in
that
college sideline. We came there one time, dude. It's tight. Yeah, and so, the tightest sideline I've ever been on.
But Dave, I'm going to tell you these stats, and you tell me, who did you think was the 16th ranked team? Taylon Green of 416 yards. Alan Bowman, 326 with a disgusting interception and an average of 6.2 yards per play. Jaquindon Jackson, 24 carries, 149 yards, 3 tutties. Ollie Gordon, 49 total yards. The Doak Walker Award-winning Ollie Gordon. Andrew Armstrong, 10 catches, 164 yards, average 16.4 yards per play. Brennan Presley, 9 catches, 91 yards. Everything says offensively, Arkansas was the better team. This was not a game.
I was more impressed. You made me say, hey, Dave, despite who won, obviously in overtime loss or splitting hairs, who were you more impressed with? I'd say Arkansas. Yeah.
But again, that's why I'm saying that, yes, I'm happy because I win both bets today where I said straight up Oklahoma State was going to win, but also I said that Arkansas was going to beat the 9.5-point spread. And I said Ollie Gordon in the fourth quarter, it was in double overtime, was going to get that game-changing touchdown. So minus literally the fact that I went to double overtime, I called this perfectly. But still, the team you're more impressed with is not Oklahoma State. They feel like a roster that now you got to win the Big 12 for you to get into the college football playoff. There's not going to be 2 teams from that conference being represented. Where Arkansas, it just felt like, no, you were good. You were very good. You just decided to shoot yourself in the foot the second half and constantly. But let's also go ahead and give a little bit of credit here. I look at right now when you see how many times the defense stepped up in the first half, but at the same time, how many times Oklahoma State fumbled the bag in the third quarter? You had the muff punt. I mean, not the muff punt. You had the interception. You couldn't capitalize. Jaquindon Jackson's knee goes down. You get the ball. You don't get the ball back. But then the second half, you get the punt. You're inside the red zone. You get called for an illegal block. False start. Now, instead of being at the 8-yard line, you're at the 38-yard line. You got to settle for a 3-point play. Then you get the false start, and then you get the pass interference offensively. All right, back to you. Now it's another field goal. So there were so many times where it just felt sloppy by both ends, but the ones that were more detrimental to the game and the ultimate success and outcome came from Arkansas in the second half. That's really what it came down to for my money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Arkansas could have played a worse second half, really. They didn't really even get it going offensively. It was almost a tale of 2 halves for them, not stealing a line from the former Alabama basketball coach Avery Johnson. I feel like that was always a classic post-game quote from him. But it really felt like it was a tale of 2 halves. It was just Arkansas came out there and dominated the first half. Probably should have been up more. honestly. And then just second half, couldn't do anything right. But like I said earlier, so once he fumbled that punt, once Isaiah Satina fumbled that punt, I was like, that's it. That's it.
I mean,
Oklahoma State's going to win this game. But
I mean, Dave, let's just go through the first half real fast. Turnover on downs, punt, Arkansas touchdown, punt, Arkansas touchdown, punt, interception, return for a touchdown for Oklahoma State. Turnover on downs, punt, interception, back ball. You're up 21-7. Now let's look at the second half. Punt, field goal, fumble, field goal, miss field goal, fumble, touchdown back because if you get the muff punt, turnover on downs, touchdown, field goal, end of game, go to overtime, miss field goal, touchdown, fourth down stop. I mean, it's literally a night and day difference.
It is.
That's what it is.
Flipping the entire movie script.
It literally, first half of that game, it's all Arkansas. And I'll give credit. Travis Williams called a brilliant.
He did. First half. I mean, they put up 0 points. The 7 points was a pick six.
I said this. They gave up nothing on all. I think it was I wrote down the number just because I was so baffled. First half total yards 351 to 77. First downs
just dominating.
No, first downs 13-3. It was domination. It was straight up. That's the version of Arkansas that gives you hope. That's the version of Arkansas that we saw back in 2011 that was the number 5 team in the country that felt like with Bobby Petrino as their head coach, they were going to be a physical force in the SEC moving forward. That's what I felt like in the first half. I did. And honestly, that's I think how a lot of Arkansas fans felt. They saw life in their offense. They saw this thing called hope. We haven't had that for years out at Donald Razorback Stadium. We haven't seen it for years. And the crazy part is they're going to be in every game. Like the thing that I'll take away is that it's basically like playing Madden with Taylor Green. And you just have it on easy level and you're playing against an expert that doesn't know how to play in double coverage.
He's going to make some plays and then he's not going to make some plays. He's going to be like a 3rd and 3. It's going to be a mishandled snap. It's like, oh, damn it.
His stat line.
But he's also going to go make a play on 3rd and 15 where you're like, oh, shoot. Like, it kind of reminds me not to put it's the low hanging fruit, but it does remind you of Matt Jones in Arkansas. He's like deceptively fast with how long his strides are. Like, and he's like faster than you think getting to the edge. But no, that's what he kind of reminds me of. Kind of as a Kellen Mond body type, and obviously not as thick as Matt Jones, but that's what he kind of reminds me of as a quarterback. Better passer to an extent, but his balls are so inconsistent. But he's the kid we're going to be talking about. If Arkansas can keep him, either he'll be a hot commodity in the transfer portal or we'll see him. He'll be a top 3 to 4 quarterback probably going in the league next year if he's still at Arkansas.
Absolutely. No, not even a damn question. You look at how he plays. He is literally going to have stat lines of 54% completion rating, but for 422 yards, 1 rushing touchdown with 77 yards on the ground, 1 passing touchdown and an interception. Like that's going to be him every single week. And you're just going to be jaw dropping at some of the throws he makes. I want to give a shout out to Quinton Jackson. I mean, that is exact. If there's one takeaway,
the former quarterback,
that's a dude that you want in your backfield. Physical. Like when I thought that they lost Rocket Sanders, I figured, okay, it's probably a move that needs to be done. Fresh start for both, kind of like KJ Jefferson. But I did not think that Quinton Jackson would be the running back we would be talking about that had some bit of the Hog Nation behind him. I thought it was going to be out in South Carolina. Rocket Sanders, he's back fully healthy. Watch him fly down the field. Quinton Jackson is a bully. And honestly, when you have that finesse of a guy like Taylor Green and then that bulldozing mentality of a guy like Quinton Jackson, there's not a lot that you can do to stop him. And also, Andrew Armstrong, can we just give a little bit of credit to him? Texas A&M.
He's a banged up. They told me this week Arkansas did. He hadn't practiced all week. He had a hamstring.
He was out last week. And just imagine if we saw him last week against Arkansas Pine Bluff. I mean, are we talking like 90-0 final score?
So, Cole, what do you think here? So, are you more confident in the Hogs now heading into the rest? Or are you more a little concerned how they bounce back from this?
Oh no, I'm not confident at all. Not even remotely close to being confident. What I am is that I will hammer the plus line in favor of Arkansas because I think that they're going to be in every game. If
you're getting double digit points in a conference game, it's again, I don't know. November stretch is rough for them. They play Texas, Ole Miss, and Missouri. That could be the best 3 offenses in the league by the season's end. But me and you talk about it preseason. They have to get wins early. Because, like I said, I think November, by the time their depth starts to take a hit, which inevitably it will because it happens to everybody. Schedule, I mentioned, could play the top 3 hardest, best offenses at that time. I feel a little better. Like, they're better than I thought they'd be this year. I still just don't know if they get to 6, man. I think they got to have that Auburn win in 2 weeks. And I don't know if they get – I'm not saying they can't get it. They're not going to be favored going into it. Now, that doesn't mean a pile of beans. They can still win that football game. But, I mean, Vegas is going to tell you they're going to be underdogs in there. And then, I mean, Cole, let's break it down here. What are you saying about Arkansas? How do you feel about them if they're 3-2 after A&M? Let's say they lose to Auburn but beat A&M. So they're 3-2, 1-1 in league play. And I think they're heading into a bye week after that. Let me see.
I believe it's the bye, and then they play
LSU, Tennessee.
Yeah, I think it's LSU, then Tennessee, and then they play Texas.
Yeah, it's bye. Yeah, you're right. Bye week. No, they get Tennessee, then bye week, LSU.
Then bye week.
And then they go at Mississippi State, and that's when November rolls. I mean, they have to beat Auburn, I think.
They're a team that probably can win multiple, and I mean multiple games in the SEC. I have no doubt about it. What I feel like is also they might be able to punch back, but can they get up when they get punched? And will they get up consistently? Because that's the thing. It's not that Oklahoma State beat them. I mean, you and I can both agree with this. Oklahoma State did as much as humanly possible to give that game in the first half to Arkansas. And still, when they were inside the red zone, they fumbled the bag with careless penalties. They punched up if you were Arkansas. You walk away in this game probably way more impressed with Arkansas than you do with Oklahoma State, a team that is supposed to be competing for a Big 12 title, competing for a college football playoff spot, and prove that they're a roster that you don't want to face off against when it comes to the college football playoff. That's how you're supposed to feel about Oklahoma State, and you don't. But also, any single time that it felt like just a little flick, like they went down and they didn't get back up until like 3 minutes later. And at that point, the score was leaning in favor of them. It took forever for them to get right back into condition. And that's not going to be good enough when you face off against teams in the SEC. It's not going to be good enough when you face off against a Texas A&M and Arlington. It's not going to be good enough when you have to face off against an LSU. It's not going to be good enough when you have to face off against an Auburn team that's going to be 4 games into playing at home that honestly, it may feel like for them, they're really confident because of the way that Auburn's been playing football offensively. They can go toe-to-toe with anybody right now.
Yeah.
So it's like you feel good about what you've seen from Arkansas's offense. It's what you've seen from when they're at their peak. Their peak is awesome. It's absolutely one of the best things in college football. Their peak today was what brings back Arkansas life. But when they're hit their low, you got to be able to deliver. And I just don't know if they're going to get that second punch. I feel like that they're going to be the kid that is like willing to talk mad smack, and then they throw one big punch, and they're like, yeah, what's up? And then somebody across the face, and they're down, and then just kick them and 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 kick them, and then they say, uncle. Yeah. Like, that's what it feels like right now.
Consistency is going to be this. Consistency and depth as the season goes on is going to be the thing for Arkansas. I feel like we're going to be looking back at the end of the year. They needed that one. We're going to be looking. That's going to be something that may be sitting there at 5 wins, and it's like, damn. Well, if we could go play Stillwater again. Just
You know what's really, really funny, Dave? I saw this meme where it's the guy that's sitting with the noose around his neck, and he consistently dies, and he looks at the one guy that's crying and goes, hey, man, first time? And someone just put an Arkansas Razorback head on top of it. It's like, first time we've celebrated this? Like, it's literally, that's what it feels like if you're Arkansas now. You can't expect anything. And you know what it's really sad is when Arkansas fans are watching Taylor Green make these acrobatic throws, look like a cheat code behind the line of scrimmage, absolutely balling out, throwing it around the field like it's no one's business. And they're like, we can't have hope. We're still going to find a way to mess this up. That's where you are if you're Arkansas. But if you're a college football fan, let's just say this. It's going to be hard to beat this level of excitement in a game. Was it perfect? No. Was it absolutely a shit show for most of the game? Yes. Were there moments where it got drunk? Yep. Was it sloppy at the end? Absolutely. But this is why you fall in love with football. This is why you sit on your couch for 12 hours on Saturdays to see the unexpected actually unfold, comebacks come back, and actually see losses become wins and wins become losses. That is exactly what you got at Boone's Pickens Stadium. One team is sitting at 2-0. The other team is sitting at 1-1. And honestly, when you look at the other team, they look like the better team. They did not lose on Saturday to a Big 12 roster. They lost to themselves, point blank, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yep, they did. They did. Disappointing loss. Disappointing loss for your part.
Make sure that you like and comment down below. What are your thoughts on this game? Let us also know, what did you think of the performance in the second half from Arkansas? Is Sam Pittman able to come back from this performance? And do us all a favor, make sure that you hit subscribe because we're doing live post-game shows all throughout the night after Kentucky and South Carolina, after NC State and Tennessee. Who knows? Maybe if it's a bad action game out in Tempe, SEC After Dark, SEC Unfiltered After Dark. We'll play that one by ear, but like, rate, review, subscribe. Make sure you're following us on all the social media channels at SEC Unfiltered. Follow Dave on Twitter at Mach10 Sports. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson. Make sure that also you download the podcast version of the show, leave a 5-star review, and also make sure that you check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. For Dave Shumate, I'm Cole Thompson. Hog Nation, I'm sorry that you've been here again. Peace.